So here are the 10 reasons why most people are broke, don't have money. So I want you to do is keep score, please, if you will. Okay, now 10, if you give yourself a 10, that means that you kind of really have this skill, which is a negative thing, this trait. It's negative. And just this, I'm not going to ask to see it. No one's going to, you're going to total it up for your own knowledge, so you know exactly where you are. You know what you need to learn. It's not for anybody but you. But get honest with yourself right now. Let's go through these here, and I'll give you some insight into why these things are so destructive. And if you see that you have any of these things in your own life, you know you have to work on them. People are unable to manage their state. Now, this is your physiological, emotional state, and what it is how you feel in the moment. You could be the most talented person in the world, the best business person in the world, the best athlete, and I work with lots of athletes, by the way. The best athlete in the world, doesn't matter. The best parent in the world. But if you're in a disempowered, emotional state, you can't do shit. You can't do anything. Here are the empowering states for business: certainty, confidence, clarity, courage, conviction, ambition, passion. Disempowering states for business: overwhelm, uncertainty, fear. Those things destroy you. Now, we can't manage our state all the time. You're not a robot. You know, I try this stuff. I'm pretty good at this, but believe me, I fall out of state all the time. But that skill, that in the moment when it matters, when it really comes down to it, can you manage your state? Or do you spend the bulk of your time in disempowered states, feeling overwhelmed, fearful of the future, pissed off, angry? Okay, give yourself a 10 if you feel like that all the time, and a 1 if you never feel like that. And by the way, just so you know, the real problem, while you're writing, the real problem with this is that we live in a world, and excuse my French here, we live in a world where shit happens. We do, right? You're walking along doing everything like, and bam, you get hit with a lump of it between the eyes, right? And at that point in time, you take that punch, okay? That's when state management really matters. Because what most people do is when they take that punch, they try to make sense of it all, so they start telling themselves a story. They'll tell themselves a story of why they can have what they want, and so on and so forth, when in truth, what stops people from getting what they want is the bullshit story they tell themselves of why they can't have it. Because that story stops them from getting honest. This is about honesty, to see things as they are right now in your life, but not worse than they are. Which is what a lot of people do. Then to see things better than they are, and develop a plan to get there. Next reason people are broke, they set impotent goals. Here's the deal. And you're going to know this is true when you hear it, because it's a basic truth of life. The reason that most people are not successful, not wealthy, is not because they set their goals too high and miss them. It's because they set them too low and hit them. Get that? It's not because you set your goals too high and miss. You set your goals too low and you hit them. And you get caught up in the average daily struggle of averagism and mediocrity. That's what kills people. Everybody raise your hand for a second, please. Raise your hand. Now raise it as high as you can. I'm going to crouch so I can see. Okay? Now just raise it a bit higher, everyone. Higher? Why the hell did that happen? I say raise it as high as you can. And then everyone says, okay, then a little bit higher. Okay, well, if you really mean it, right? You get it? It's that extra inch. That's where you want to set your goal. Not pie in the sky and out of control like it's never going to happen, because that's a load of crap too. People that set those sort of goals, they abandon those goals. And we'll get to that later. But the idea here is you want to set the goals just above your comfort zone. So now think about it for a second. Think about your goals right now. How do you set them? Are you setting them very low and hitting them? If that's the case, then give yourself a 10. Are you setting goals that don't inspire you? Some people set goals that might be high, but they're crappy goals. They're not the sort of goals that make you jump out of bed in the morning, make you want to go to work for yourself, to secure the future, not just for you, but for your family. So you don't have to compromise or acquiesce to anybody unless you love them, unless you want to. That's freedom. You know, money is just a mechanism to get there. I look at myself as a guy who helps people solve the money problem. I love this one. They subscribe to The Secret. What a load of crap this is. Hello? I read this book because I was in disbelief because people would tell, here's the strategy for success of the secret, right? Go into your house, into a quiet room, and you close the lights, draw the shades, and sit on a couch and visualize a big fat check. 25 G's, $1,000 US, okay, with your name on it. And I want you to imagine that check and just make that check go bigger in your mind and make it real, more real, and just put it out into the ether of the universe, and the law of attraction will take hold. Just think about it. Bullshit, right? Hello? If that's your strategy for success, the only thing that will show up in your mailbox is not the check, it's a freaking eviction notice from your landlord. They'll be towing away your car. Your wife or your husband will be over the next door neighbor, and you'll be still saying, where's the check? Where's the check? Okay? The secret is a load of crap, okay? Do I believe in manifestation? Yeah! Damn straight I do. But you got to take action. I'm one of those unfortunate people. I tried it. I really did. I swear I tried it. Because I read the book, so well, let me try, you know? So I sat there and I prayed for the check. Never came. But when I went out and started taking action, guess what? The check came with an extra couple of zeros attached. Limiting beliefs. These are killers. There are two I want to focus on right now. There's lots of them, but the point is this. There are two types of beliefs I want to describe right now. One has to do with life. One has to do with money. Let's go to the life belief first. Poor people believe they are creatures of circumstance. That means that the life happens to them. You get that? While rich people are creators of circumstance. I will tell you this, there is no more destructive belief in the world than to think that life happens to you. Because there's three things that you do when you don't think that you can create your own destiny. I'll tell you exactly what they are. Ready? Number one, the first thing you do is you play what I call the blame game. You start blaming everybody for why you don't have what you want. You'll blame the government, you'll blame your family, you'll blame your spouse, you'll blame your boss, you'll blame the economy, you'll blame the people on Wall Street, which probably deserve some blame, but you'll blame anybody and everybody when you think the world happens to you. You're powerless. The second thing you do is you justify. It is because the economy stinks, it's because people are unfair to me, it's because money doesn't really matter anyway. Bullshit. You all know that. Right? I live on love alone. Really? Go bring that to the bank and pay the rent. Hello, okay? I love love. I'm in love. I'm the greatest woman in the world. I'm going to get married next year for the third time, unfortunately, but I'm getting married next year. Great woman. So I know that, but, you know, money's money, right? They justify. Third, and this is the worst one of all, so write it down in big letters. They complain. I hate these people. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because I do believe in some laws of the universe. I do. And one of them is that what you focus on expands, gets bigger, and what you focus on, you attract because you move towards it. If you're focusing on something, you attract. So here's what happens. When you're complaining, what are you focusing on? All the shit in your life. So guess what happens to you? You become a giant shit magnet. Get the picture? I don't want to be around because they attracted to you. You got to get away from them because when you hear someone complaining, it might hit you too. And it's the worst of all. That's what complaining does. So if you're a person that believes that, you know, you're a creature of circumstance, life happens to you, good luck. I don't think any of you are like that. You know why? You wouldn't be in this room. How about that? People that believe they're creatures of circumstance, they don't show up to rooms like this. They just don't. They'll kick and scream at the door. Like the exorcist, if you bring in like the devil into church or something, right? They'll just leave it, forget about it, it's done. They won't come into rooms like this. So you're probably pretty safe on that one. Let's go to the next belief. Poor people think money doesn't matter. Rich people value money. They know it does matter. Okay, again, you know, I said it before. We live in a world where money matters. Now, is it the be-all, end-all? No. But money is a beautiful, wonderful thing. When you have money, you can do great things. You can help other people. You can retire your parents, take care of your children, travel, have freedom to do the things you want to do. Money won't make you happy, but a lack of it, and and I've been there, by the way. I've been broke and bankrupt in my life. Not that long ago, about 10 years ago. A lack of money could be a passport to misery. So I say solve the money problem and then look for the higher things afterwards. So here's one of the things that's ironic. I don't come from the seminar world. I come from the real world. I come from Wall Street. I come from the world of business. And I never met so many people who claim to be life coaches in my life. Everyone's a life coach, or a business coach, or a success coach, and most of them have never done anything. Okay, so you got to be careful. Who do you choose as your mentor? Typically, the people with no money are very quick to offer their advice. So be careful who you choose. Now, also, I've chosen some really crappy mentors too, but they were rich. Here's one. Remember I said greed is good in my opening reel? The movie studio loved that. What Gordon Gekko is saying there, he's saying greed is good. Greed cuts through. Greed clarifies. And I was 24 years old when I heard him say that. I heard him say, rip their skulls out and stuff it in a garbage compactor, right? I don't remember some of the lines, they were great lines, right? The problem is I took some of this stuff to heart. And I thought greed was good. And the truth is this, greed is not good. Ambition is good. I got to crouch so I can see you. The lights are so bright. Ambition is good. Passion is good. Greed is destructive. The first thing that happens when you get greedy, and I know firsthand, is ethics go flying out the window. It becomes about making as much as you can, as fast as you can, and you do not care who gets hurt along the way. So be careful the mentors that you choose. Don't choose the slubby fat guy in his undershirt with the whiskers on his chin, who's never done anything but been a bum. A lot of those people on the phone, they're life coaches. You don't know who's on the other end of the phone on the internet, right? You don't have to model the entire organism, right? You can take a piece of them. They're controlled by fear. This is a killer. We all know this. And there are basically 3 ways to process fear, to manage fear. Let me tell you what they are. Number 1 is to pretend that fear does not exist. First way, okay, when you manage fear, right, is you ignore it. You pretend it doesn't exist. And here's where you end up. In a place called poverty and misery. If you try to convince, I'm not scared of anything. I'm not taking action. I'm not starting my own company. I'm not going out there and trying to strike it rich. It's not because of fear. And then what do? So you tell the story. You get it? That's not what you'd say to anybody. What you would say is, money doesn't matter. It's too difficult. I don't come from a rich family. A guy like me is not cut out for that sort of stuff. Oh, it's not important anyway. Those people, rich people, are all idiots. All the stuff that we hear. That's a result of not admitting to yourself that you have a bit of fear. You ignore it and you let it control you. That is the most disempowering state for wealth and success. The most. Second is overwhelm. Third is uncertainty. And along with that, confidence. Second way, I'm going to leave the third one for last. The second way, which is, you click here, you act in spite of fear. That's what I'm a master of doing, by the way. I was always scared. Scared to fail. Scared what people would think if they knew how I didn't know all the answers back when I was younger. I was scared, but I acted anyway. I never let fear stop me. That's what achievers do. They're scared, but they act anyway. Okay? Here's what happens when you have that strategy. You end up in a place called wealthy misery or wealthy anxiety. If you're sitting there acting in spite of fear, okay, and not processing it correctly, you're going to be nervous a lot of the time. Always concerned, what happens if I fail? What happens if I don't hit my goal? The whole 9 yards. It's better than the first, but it's not the best way. The third way is embracing it and letting it motivate you. And I'll get to that later. But for right now, give yourself a score about how you manage fear. Do you have the achiever's mentality, where you process fear, but you act, but you're scared all the time or nervous? A lot of people like that. This is what poor people always do. They try to come up with something spectacular, something new and novel. Okay, that's the biggest trap ever. The opposite is true. You need a proven system. That's why I developed the straight line system out of desperation, because I had 100 companies that were suffering. I needed a way that was basically really, really simple for anybody to run a company, anyone to get wealthy personally. Great quote, Warren Buffett, one of my mentors. Seen him 3 times, and I read all his books. Brilliant. Ever know Warren Buffett? Yes or yes? Yes? Okay. He said, when I buy a business, I want to make sure the systems are so good that even an idiot can run it. Because sooner or later, one will. Okay? So, when you go out there and try to earn money in the past or right now, are you using a proven system, or are you trying to reinvent the wheel? They're lousy in business. Manchester Farms Meat and Seafood. That was my first business. I started when I was 21 years old. In fact, I started my first business really when I was 9 in a paper route, knocking on doors, expanding my paper route. I made good money when I was 9. When I was 12, I started shoveling driveways after snowstorms, making 20 bucks a pop. Doing pretty good after snowstorms. In Kuala Lumpur, you go out of business real quick. Not a lot of snow around here. When I was 16 and a half, I hit it big for the first time. And I was going down to, this would do really well in Kuala Lumpur. I would go to the local beach when it was hot during the summer. And there was a long walk to the concession stand. And I'd go with an Italian, a cooler with Italian ices, chipwiches, and fudgicles. And I started making big money, 600 bucks per day when I was 16 years old. I was making $20,000 to $30,000 every summer in 2.5 months. And I used that money to put myself through college. My parents didn't have money. I put myself through school working on the beach. My friends were making $1.50 an hour. I was making $600 per day. I answered a blind ad in the paper, and I worked for someone else's company for about 2 weeks, figured it out on my own, bought my first truck, and started going door to door selling meat and seafood. Within 7 months, I had 26 trucks on the road and was a millionaire. 21 years old. And I was making money. I bought a beautiful red Porsche, met my first wife, we got married, everything was got a pocket full of money, it was great. Problem? I was making every mistake in the world about business. I had no experience. Business is not a skill that you're born with. You're just not. It's something that you learn. The problem with most people, they just don't know how to do business. No one ever taught them. They don't teach it to you in school. Business 101, bullshit. That's not real world business. That's theoretical. You might get this. I'm not a theoretical sort of guy. Just not. I'm a guy that lives in the real world. Everything I do is real world, works, been proven. So business 101 in college, it's great for some, basic stuff. It doesn't translate. I took business courses in college. I went into that business and I got buried. I thought I was a millionaire. I was actually growing on credit. I overexpanded. I was undercapitalized. And bam, just like that, I was out of business and bankrupt at 23. Lost everything. Even my red Porsche. I had a tear trickled down my arm and they took my Porsche away with a hook on a tow truck. Worst day of my life up to that point. And that's why I went down to Wall Street. Because in my town in New York, when you want to make a lot of money and you're young and you're ambitious and you can sell, you go to Wall Street. I knew some people making a lot of money there. I said, if they can make $1 million a year, I can make $50 million. And I was right. And by the way, if you don't have business experience, guess what? There's nothing to be ashamed of at all. You're not born with this stuff. Someone's got to teach you. Someone's got to show you the ropes. That's it. No big deal. This is the easiest one to master, because business is very, very easy once you know how, and so is making money. They're uncomfortable with words like sales and persuasion. This is a big one. There's no way around it, everybody. Who here is a salesperson? Raise your hand. Bunch of people. Great. Guess what? You're all salespeople. Either you're selling and persuading or you're failing in life. Not products, the intangible, yourself, your ideas, your concepts. Selling your kid to make his bed. I'm failing miserably and I can't get my kid to make his bed. I'm a pretty good salesperson, right? Either you're selling and persuading or you're failing. This is a skill you cannot get around. But this is an art. This mastery, or at least effectiveness, getting to be an effective persuader, is the most crucial skill that any human being can have. And here's my man, my mentor, Warren Buffett, right? Not the sort of guy that you would think is a master salesman. That's not what his life is about. Guess what? It's the single most important skill Warren Buffett has. And he said it publicly on numerous occasions. But the point is still the same. You have to learn not to be a master salesperson. That's not what it's about, or a hardcore salesperson. You have to become an effective persuader so you can share your ideas, your concepts, your visions with other people, and they'll follow you because you can show the value that you have as a human being. You could have all the value in the world as a person. You could be the smartest person. You could have the cure for cancer. You could have the next great computer chip, anything in the world. If you don't have the power to persuade, to make your thoughts known, to influence others, you can't do anything about it. You're failing in life. The biggest one of all, they slave their lives away for a paycheck. This is why most people are broke. They work for somebody else. There's no way around this. It's very simple. There's just no way around it. If you work for somebody else, there are a couple of exceptions. I'll tell you what they are. Number one is if you're a commission salesperson working on heavy commission. That's one way around it. Second way is if you work in a certain industry like banking, investment banking, where you can leverage off of a huge company's assets, like a Goldman Sachs or a Citibank or one of the Kuala Lumpur Bank, whatever it might be locally here. There's very few exceptions. Other than that, if you really want to get ahead in life, you have to own your own business. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out and quit your job right now. Absolutely not. I would never tell a human being to do that. When I mentor people, that's not what the straight line's not about that. What it's about is showing you how to start a business that allows you to do it without quitting your current job. That's what it's about. Without having to put up a lot of money. And if you need any money, you learn how to raise it like that. Not borrow it, raise it. Real cheaply. But at some point in time, if you want to get wealthy, and just please, again, if there's probably one other thing besides that formula that you take away from this today, you have to get into your own business. I sincerely mean that from the bottom of my heart. You have to do it at some point in time if you want to get wealthy, or else you're a pawn in someone else's game of chess.